Hey folks, Eric Mulder here with Code Red Conversations. Thanks for checking me out. Before I get started in this video breakdown, make sure you hit the like and subscribe button and also hit that notification bell so you don't miss out on any of my weekly content. This is a special one for me, guys, because it involves my old department, Las Vegas Metropolitan Police Department, my old area command, or the area I used to patrol, and a former coworker. The details were, and I'm going to read them off, guys, so I don't get it messed up, okay? The details were that two Hispanic males, and I'm going to insert their photos right here. Suspect number 1, Fidel Miranda, and suspect number 2, Rene Nunez, both with extensive and violent criminal histories, had allegedly just committed a robbery/homicide and were seen fleeing the area in a black SUV. I've linked the official debrief from the Las Vegas Metropolitan Police Department below, which goes into a lot more detail than I'll be sharing here with you in this video, because I really want to get into the details of this. I want to show it to you, and then I'll come back and we'll go over all the details. I'll go over the pros and cons, what the officer did great, what he possibly could use some improvement on. The video starts with the officer finding the suspect vehicle while conducting an ATL, which is in layman's terms an attempt to locate, ATL. That sets it up. I'll be back in about 4 minutes. You definitely don't want to miss this one. I promise you that.
Charlie 4 in pursuit of the suspect vehicle. It's going to be southbound Mojave. Shots fired, shots fired.
Copy. Southbound Mojave from where? 751, copy you.
Be advised, shots fired, shots fired.
What's the location?
Southbound Mojave passing Bonanza. Black, shots fired still.
Charlie 4, I copy. 751, you copy?
Give me that air unit. Shots fired, shots fired. Give me the air unit. Still southbound Mojave approaching Charleston.
Southbound Mojave approaching Charleston. Shots still being fired.
It's occupied 2 times. HMA. Driver's got a bald head, tattoos, black shirt. Passenger's got a white shirt. Going westbound Charleston from Mojave.
Copy.
608 monitoring. Still westbound Charleston approaching 28th.
608 confirming pursuit, and how many do you have with you?
Got one more unit. I've been shot at.
Are you injured?
It's on DPAC with the air unit following the vehicle. We want to try to combine channels.
For Charlie 1, are you injured?
It's Charlie 4. I'm not injured.
Okay, copy.
6-1, I'm going to switch over to DTAC so we can...
Watch out! Shots fired! Shots fired! Shots fired again!
Copy. Where are you at, Charlie 4?
Going northbound eastern from Charleston. Hey, back up! He's shooting! down! Hey, the other one's up there! Hey, the other one right up there!
All right, we're back. I told you guys that one was very, very intense. I get goosebumps every time I watch it. If you don't, I don't know what to say. You're either dead or dead, to be honest with you. I really routinely don't miss being an officer. I love my time, don't get me wrong, but most of the time it's a very monotonous job. A lot of paperwork, a lot of routine calls. But when I see situations like that go down, man, I tell you, I really wish I was back out there backing those guys up. But that's neither here nor there. Let's get into the breakdown. The first thing I want to do is commend the officer for a tremendous job at keeping his cool during a crazy situation with bullets flying at him. He used great radio traffic, constantly updated his location, where the vehicle was traveling, constantly updated the dispatcher when he was getting fired upon, told the other officer when another unit arrived on the scene to pull back and be careful because shots were being fired. So in the area of communication skills, excellent job, phenomenal job. And that can't be minimized. So for the other officers out there, it's a good example of being able to keep cool under pressure. And that's something that can be practiced during some of your workouts. If you're working out alone or if you're running, maybe doing wind sprints, go through some role playing where you're, obviously if you're in the gym, you're gonna look kind of weird doing it, but hey, you're doing it for a bigger purpose. You're thinking safety all the way around. And not just for the officer, for the citizen. You may have to get on the phone and have to use fine motor skills to dial 911. You may have to give detailed information after a violent encounter, and you want to be able to keep your cool. And if it's something that you're not used to doing, you're more likely to panic and not really respond in a rational or in a proper manner. Every now and then, just throw in there, okay, just think of some details. Like think of something that's around you. You see a vehicle drive by, or just come up with a random vehicle, or think about a description of something and just start rattling it off and trying to be calm about it. And that's something that you can develop some muscle memory, and it won't be so stressful or so difficult if you're ever faced with it. And once again, that's for the officer and that's for the average everyday civilian as well. Next point I want to address is tactical improvisation or thinking on your feet. I'm assuming that he wasn't confident in shooting with his left hand. The vast majority of people are right-handed. What did he decide to do? He improvised and decided he was going to shoot some rounds through his own windshield when he was close enough to where he increased the likelihood of the rounds striking the suspect vehicle, primarily striking the suspect in the goal of stopping the threat. Because once again, when an officer puts bullets down range, they are ultimately responsible for wherever those bullets go. So if you're not confident in using your offhand, whether you be right-handed or left-handed, you have to improvise and think tactically in a situation like that. Now, initially, I was a little iffy about that tactic, concerned about deflection and things like that. But then I started doing some research, and I found that this has been a tactic that has been used on multiple occasions, and it has been effective. Now, I'm sure we can find some situations where it wasn't as effective, but in this case, it seems to have worked out very well for all involved. One quick note, guys, a training consideration. When I do these breakdowns, this in no way is meant to damn or criticize the officer in a negative fashion. The purpose of this is to evaluate all these situations honestly and navigate through the difficult waters of improving and becoming better. Because in all reality is sometimes we can be pragmatic and think what works. Well, the situation works, so I don't want to be too critical or something along those lines. You hear that said oftentimes. I've been in many situations where we had debriefs after a specific incident, and that was the language that was being tossed around. And I was always like, I don't think that's smart. And we can go back through history where overconfidence has cost people in combat and in war and in many situations. We could talk about the failed hostage rescue in Iran back in the 80s. We could talk about the raid in Somalia with the Rangers and Delta Force operators. When you watch documentaries and you hear these individuals speak on these situations, the leadership and the individuals who are involved, overconfidence and complacency plays a factor. We're all suspect, or we can all be guilty of it at times. So in order for us to get better, we have to be open and honest enough to be able to do a proper self-examination. So with that being said, there are a few areas that I would like to address as far as potential long-term training considerations for us to think about. Training consideration 1, navigating the intersections. If you're on a pursuit, if your department even allows it, if you're in a pursuit, you have to be mindful of oncoming traffic. We all do. I've seen and I've known officers that lost their lives while involved in a pursuit or responding to a call and not navigating an intersection properly. So if you're involved in a pursuit or responding to a violent call or a high-risk call, and you approach an intersection or come to a red light, you need to come to a complete stop so you can see properly in all directions, because you can control what you're doing, but that other driver, you don't know what they're doing. They could have the radio up, they could have headphones on, they could be distracted at the time, they could have kids that can be involved in a different conversation, a phone conversation, and they just may not hear the red light. They just hear the siren. They may not see your red light. So be careful as you navigate. Of course, we all want to catch the bad guy. Absolutely. Those guys that were alleged to have just killed an individual and who were indiscriminately firing upon the officer, they need to be stopped. Unquestionably, no debate there. But at the same time, we have to be mindful, or you guys, especially the guys that are out there and currently pushing your black and whites or on the beat doing your thing, you have to be mindful of being safe so that you can exact a proper arrest. Training consideration number 2. Practice, practice, practice when it comes to your weapons, when it comes to the tools on your belt. And in this specific case, your firearm. If you're a full-time officer, you're working 40 hours a week, you're carrying your firearm with you pretty much all that time, especially if you're on patrol. Your gun is on you and you wear body armor to work and you carry your magazines, your ammunition on you every day. So that should be a reminder of the potential danger of your job. Yeah, the job can be monotonous. You could be pushing paperwork 98% of the time, but that 2% could be the life or death situation. When the time comes for you to have to utilize your tools, you want to be able to use them in a very effective manner. So whatever that means, if that means you have to dig into your own pocket to be able to go to the range and practice shooting, then so be it. Do what you have to do. You could practice at home. You can empty your magazine, empty your gun, unload it, separate your ammo, and practice dry firing. If you're blessed and lucky enough to be on a department that has its own range or has access to a range, take advantage of that, guys. Please, guys, gals, everyone out there, take advantage of it, because the public deserves you to be at your best, for your training to be top notch, and for you to take out an hour, 2 hours of your week to be able to practice those skills. Now, we all pray to God that we never have to use it. But if that situation comes, I think we'd all would like to have those skills to be sharpened as opposed to them being dull and us having no confidence. Practice your reloading skills, work on training, shooting and moving, work on shooting with your dominant hand, once solo, your non-dominant hand, so you can develop a level of proficiency, because you could be injured. You could be like this officer here who was just in a position to where he couldn't get off a good shot with his dominant hand. So just be prepared, guys. Just think outside the box. There are plenty of training tools, plenty of training aids out there that can help you. With that being said, guys, I want to bring this video to a close. I want to commend the officer, all the officers involved, as a matter of fact, for an outstanding job. These guys, they need to be off the streets. It's unfortunate when any life has to be taken, but in a situation like this, I don't see how it could have went any other way based on the suspect actions. So feel free, guys, to comment below whether you agree or disagree. Is there any point that you feel like I missed? Comment below. Engage with me, guys. I love it. Just make sure we're respectful to one another. And don't forget to hit the subscribe button and the notification bell. And until next time, stay safe, God bless, and make sure you join the conversation.